Okay, we are waiting here for a few more minutes, like Priyanka said, for taking up the questions. So far, we do not have any questions, but we'll wait for some more time. Okay, I think we have very first question. It is not a complete question yet. One of the participants, Archana, has written, it sometimes happens that the mentee and mentor does not go along well. Now, what exactly is the question here? But if I just get the crux of the matter here, Archana madam, what I understand is that what do we do in case the mentor and mentee relationship does not go well? Yes, it is very much likely to happen. Like I said, out of the 4 zones that I have explained, the very first zone was setting the tone. Now, this is an opportunity for both mentor and mentee to really know each other. If you just follow the things that I have just shared, and I will quickly summarize. One of the things that I shared was about mentee selection. Another was about as a mentor, you should know that you cannot mentor everyone. As a mentor, you should also be very cognizant about the time and energy that you are spending. So you should select your number of mentees accordingly, and also the commitment. I think the commitment really plays a great role here. As long as you are committed to the growth and success of your mentee, the small issues here and there in terms of developing the relationship will easily get away. We have a question from Paresh Navgire. Does the mentee contacts the mentor or the other way around? Well, usually it is a mentee who should actually go to a mentor. Depends on the kind of relationship. For example, in BYST, the way we get entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs are by default mentees, we scout for entrepreneurs, because it is an NGO which actually is working towards developing the entrepreneurs, and we have a one single line mission of creating the job creators vis-a-vis job seekers. So we actually do that. And we have a system whereby we attach one mentor, and we basically do a pairing of mentor and mentee. But in an organization like you are working in, Paresh, it is not normally, it is mentee who should come and go to a mentor, unless there is an organization-wide program. I have worked with an organization where our HR department and the management decided to instill a mentoring program, where mentor-mentee pairing was done based on certain criteria.
And yes, there is another question from Mr. Anil Kulkarni. What about technological abilities of mentee or mentor on the road of progress?
Yes, I think it's a very interesting question. Probably, again, if I derive it right from your question, it is quite possible that the mentor, who is supposed to be somebody who is experienced, so obviously age-wise, he's coming from a different era, and the mentee is coming from a different era. So we are talking about, let's say in current scenario, we are talking about mentoring a millennial mentee or millennial generation. So there could be a technological differences, and that can pose certain challenges. So it is not always that mentee should learn and acquire new skills and develop new habits. It is also equally true that mentors also should keep themselves up to the mark in terms of technology. Most of the businesses, I would say, if I'm not mistaken, I'm just putting a rough guess here, 80% of the new businesses that are coming are riding on the wave of technology. So it is very, very important for mentors to accustom themselves towards the technology.
From Dushyant Kedia, so he's saying it's nice webinar, Biman sir. Thank you for giving lots of good knowledge.
Another question from Paresh is about under impact zone, under the protect and guide, does you or do you look into the risk involved and then mitigation plan? Yes, obviously. So protect and guide is basically, when I talked about the topic, we talked about the potential threat or challenge, and in other words, in a purely professional language, we terminology wise, it is a risk that we are talking about. So yes, the mentor should be using his experience and knowledge, should be able to identify a potential risk, and should also teach his or her mentee to do a proper risk assessment and also develop a risk mitigation plan. And there are a whole lot of things that you can do around the risk.
There is one more question from Ajit Nausekpam. What does the mentor-mentee relation reach a logical conclusion?
Yeah. So as such, there is no time frame, or as such, there is no end line which is drawn. But mentor-mentee relationship, grows over a period of time, and it also takes different shapes and flavor in terms of the relationship. And there are quite a few examples again under BYST where we have seen the entrepreneur came for a small business funding and was supported by BYST. He was given a mentor, and that relationship really worked well. The mentee or entrepreneur reached to a certain level, but then the mentee needed to go to a next level. So we had to change the mentor there, because the earlier mentor was probably not fitting well in terms of the growth and expansion plan. So that also happens where you need to change the mentor. But if the same mentor-mentee relationship has really gone deeper, and the exact skill match is not there, it can still continue.
Yes, there is a message from PK Moyes. So he is saying, good evening Bimanji, excellent presentation sir. I focus on the word called rapport creation, which is backbone for rest of all the points discussed. How do you start this process? Because I have seen many mentor-mentee chemistry.
Just a second. We are just finding a little struggle to scroll this question.
Yes, because I have seen many mentor-mentee chemistry fall apart and nothing move forward. I would like a brief clarity on this.
Okay. Yeah. So Maheshji, thank you for this question. Rapport building is the foundation stone of any relationship. How do you begin with it depends a lot on that. So first thing first, as part of setting the tone and going to the next step, which is preparing the condition, like I said, you need to find certain commonality. Not necessarily that you both are coming from the same village, or you both speak the same language, or you both have the same love for a certain sport. But through questioning, you have to find certain commonality, because that does really wonder, which is again one of the highlights of rapport building process. Once you find the commonality, it could be a shared hobby, it could be a shared interest also. Maybe you both like gossiping, as an example, or you both like talking about Bollywood. It could be anything, but there has to be certain common thing. That is the basic start that you can give to rapport building. Then comes the next step, is to have certain agreements between two parties. For example, if they have decided to meet at a certain frequency, they both have to be committed about it. They both have to begin their conversation always on a positive note. And positive communication is also part of not just rapport building, but also maintaining the rapport. So your question is that many a times people come together very quickly, but then it starts falling apart. So what really happens when they get into this step of falling apart is probably they are not indulging into a positive communication. They always start looking at pinpointing at certain things. And as an experienced mentor, you should definitely take care that you will always indulge into a positive communication. Mentee, probably because of the lack of experience, maybe age-wise the person is junior, probably not indulging into a positive communication. He is in a probably complaining mode, or he is always sounding negative. But if you just maintain a positive communication, slowly you will be able to change his way of communication also. So that is another thing that you can practice.
Thank you, sir. And there is one more question from Mr. Ajay Patil. Thank you for this wonderful and informative session. Yeah, is that probably mentee may not come up with certain questions which may be expected. Why should avoid spoon feeding?
Yes, why should you avoid spoon feeding? The basic purpose of mentoring, as I said in the beginning in my very first slide, is I just kind of differentiated between leader and a mentor. Probably as a leader, as a manager in the organization, or as a business owner with your staff, probably you need to teach certain things and you might be doing a little bit of spoon feeding. But mentoring is not all about spoon feeding. If you are spoon feeding, you are basically taking control of his or her life, or his or her own objective or endeavors. In the process, you are not able to transfer your experience. You are not letting them grow on their own. You are here to generate the solution. You are not here to straight away give the solutions. And there is a difference between straight away giving the solution and generating the solution together. If I am giving a solution to my mentee and tell him that, okay, you do this and that and you will achieve that. So in other words, I'm just playing a role of a doctor, where doctor just prescribes certain medicines. The patient goes out in the pharmacy shop and gets the medicine, he gets cured. But then he has to come again for a different or the same kind of health trouble. But when I'm able to create the solution together, the solution has to come from mentee, and that's why I would avoid spoon feeding, because the solution has come from him. He owns that solution, and once he owns that solution, his level of commitment is altogether a different level.
Thank you, sir. There is one message from Dr. Nitin. So he's saying the session is informative and constructive, and he sincerely thanks for this opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
So from Diversity, Hyderabad, what about the responsibility of discharging financial obligations to the bank? What role the mentor in that?
Yeah, so as part of your mentoring, when you are preparing for the condition, you also have to, like I said, you have to inculcate certain skills and habits. As part of that preparing the condition, you also need to let mentee know that he is obligated towards an institute. It could be BYST, it could be bank, or it could be anything else. So if you are able to make him or her understand the importance of that obligation, and he realizes that he is under obligation and then he needs to pay out at a pre-decided frequency, mentors definitely has a role to play. Many a times people come and probably they have, I won't say the mal-intention or the wrong intentions, but people get into that wrong habit, or and as a result of that, they become the defaulter. So mentor definitely has a significant role to play in that.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And there is one more question from Mr. Balaji. Okay. And question is how to inculcate good habits in mentors.
In members or mentees.
Yes.
Yeah, so we talked about inculcating good habits, or I would say just than the habits, I would say positive habits. As a mentor and experienced and knowledgeable person, you know the importance of certain positive habits, whether it is in the area of self-development or it could be in the area of health and lifestyle. Exactly the way you have picked up those habits, which probably were not part of you, you probably need to transfer that experience and also narrate the kind of benefits that you have got. For example, one of the most common problems that we see in our country is about discipline. We all know the importance of discipline, and we all know what happens if you are disciplined and what happens if you are indisciplined. And when I talk about discipline, it's not only about certain professional obligations. It could also be a discipline in the area of health, or even in the area of your finances. If you are not managing your finances in a disciplined way, what are the disadvantages that you get in return? So as a mentor, how do you inculcate, to answer your question? As a mentor, you should be able to draw a picture of how beneficial a good habit can be and how long it really takes to a person and how it transforms a person. If you are able to demonstrate through certain storytelling or some live experience, or presenting a case study, uh, whichever way you think is comfortable, you explain this to your mentee and attract your mentee to get into mode of developing those good habits.
And there is one more question from Mr. Ravikant. What are the situations where mentor-mentee relationship may go wrong and they start confronting each other? How to identify such issues well in time? My understanding that there may be scope for conflict of interest. Any other situations?
Yeah, if there is a conflict of interest, I think it's a very, very serious issue. So I'm not sure how do you handle that conflict of interest, and especially right at the beginning, if mentor identifies that there is a potential conflict that may arise over a period of time, he should not really offer his mentorship. But in other areas, when mentors and mentee get into a confrontation mode, there are several ways to handle this confrontation and kind of cool down the nerves. You can either involve a third person only for a specific topic on which the confrontation has happened, or you both can decide completely a different perspective and start looking at it from a point of view of grievance handling. And many a times we also argue with a lot of people. Does not mean that there is always an end of relationship. People can have a different point of views and there are difference of opinions. But as a senior person, as a mentor, I think onus is on you to find the best possible way to handle this confronting situation. Conflict of interest, I am taking it completely separately. I am just talking about confrontation.
Thank you, sir. And there is one more question from Mr. Yoganand Power. I think lacking funds. I think question is incomplete. And I think your previous question was mentor-mentee relation. Yeah, the relations between mentee and mentor. Sir, can you please write it down once again? Yeah, there is another question from Mr. Sashadri. Is it necessary for mentor and mentee to be in the same town?
Well, that is preferred, but not necessary.
And there is one more question from Mr. Ajit. How can we register with BYST, and is there any eligibility criteria?
I think that is something that Monish can answer separately. Ajit ji, on your question about how can you register with BYST, one thing that you can definitely do is you can just visit BYST website, which is bystonline.org, and you will hopefully find the answers there. If not, your email ID is anyway registered with us, and one of the BYST secretariat staff will get in touch with you.
Yeah, there is one more question from BYST Hyderabad. If entrepreneur is failure in his project, how far can mentor be responsible for it?
I think this is a very hypothetical scenario. We need to know really a lot of other nuances around the failure. One thing for sure that I for one at least believe that there is no failure, there is always a learning. But that sounds very, very philosophical. If there is a serious failure, or there is a loss of fund, loss of effort and time, we need to look at all those different aspects to really examine the failure. But on your core question, how far the mentor be responsible depends on what kind of inputs and the guidance which was provided by the mentor. Let's say if mentor has guided and provided certain inputs, but mentee for some reasons chose to go a different way, and that has caused the failure, obviously mentor can't be held responsible for that. And here, in the keeping the central theme of today's topic, which is impactful mentoring, I think this question needs to be addressed separately.
And there is one more question from Mr. Yoganand Power. I think he is listening very patiently and he is asking so many questions. If there is lack of funds with mentee, how mentor can help?
Yes, mentor can still help if mentee or entrepreneur is lacking fund. Mentor can point him to the direction of organizations like BYST as an example, or some other institutes and the organizations where he can find some help in terms of funding. So mentor doesn't necessarily have to sponsor a mentee's project, and normally it doesn't happen. There is no financial sponsorship that mentor is typically providing.
And there is one more question from Mr. Rajendra Sinde. Up to what extent mentor should get involved in decision-making process of mentee's business?
Completely. Answer to this question is he should get completely. To begin with, we talked about in one of the zones, impact zones, that how the decision-making process should work. We talked about asking the right questions and thereby generating the vital and useful information. And those vital and useful information basically helps you to arrive at a decision. So the mentor's role should always be to have these, set it up for several times during their mentoring conversation, but then later on, maybe after few weeks or few instances, mentee should start realizing that this is the way to arrive at certain decision making. So here, mentor's role is only to introduce mentee to a completely new skill, which is decision making. Once he acquires that and once he feels confident about it, from there on he has to start on his own.
And there is one more question from Mr. Sashadri. You said it is desirable for mentor and mentee to be in the same town, but not necessary. How often do you think a face-to-face meeting is required?
There are no fixed rules, so there is no thumb rule about how often mentor and mentee should meet, even if they are in the same town, for example. Your earlier question was whether they need to be in the same town, and my response to that question was it's desirable but not necessary. Now coming to your second continued supplement question, how often they should meet, there are no thumb rules. The frequency should be good enough to take care of mentee's requirement. It's not about mentor's requirement. It's all about mentee's requirement. If mentees have frequent requirement because lots of things are happening on this business or profession front, and if there is a need to meet twice in a week, they should meet twice in a week, provided mentor is able to contribute that much time. So frequency purely depends on the kind of requirement that mentee has.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I think this answer meets your expectation. Thank you, Mr. Sashadri, sir. And there is one more question from Mr. Krishna Kumar. What should main 4 elements to impactful mentoring?
Okay, let me rephrase this question. Mr. Krishna Kumar's question, I am just rephrasing. What are the 4 elements to impactful mentoring? So here in today's talk, I covered basically different zones, or you can consider different phases of mentoring, starting with selection of mentee to preparing the condition to encouraging to maximizing. So if you look at all those different zones, the mentoring elements or the style of mentoring and the types of mentoring conversation also keeps changing according to the zone where the mentoring relationship is. So there are no fixed elements as such, but there are different phases where mentoring has to up the ante over a period of time.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Oh, sir has briefed very nicely. I think impactful mentoring is a very vast concept, and I think we'll have a separate session. I think it's required. And thank you, Krishna, sir. And there is one more question from Mr. Dushyant Kedia. What is difference between mentor and partner?
Huge difference. Mentor can enter into a partnership relationship, but not necessarily all the partners can be a mentor. So as a partner, and I'm talking about financial partnership, and I hope the question was to that effect only. If you are talking, thinking in terms of financial partner, not necessarily all the financial partner has a capability to mentor his or her partner, but mentor can definitely partner with the mentee, not financially, but in their journey of growth and success.
And there is one more question from Mr. Ajay Patil. So he's saying, in line with BYST Hyderabad, as you replied that mentor can be changed if interest is not matching with mentee. As per his opinion, mentor is there to support and motivate. But in case if it is changed, then whose failure it is? What can be done instead changing the mentor as he is ever since the beginning?
Yeah, so if we talked about impactful mentoring and how do you set it up from the word go. If the things which are suggested in this webinar are followed exactly the way I have shared my views on, there are less chances of having a failure. So the kind of failure that you are suggesting probably has missed out on some of the processes, and that's why we have this continuous webinar series as part of our mentorship development program. So I would reckon probably you will be sharing the slides.
Yes.
Yeah. So the slides will be shared, and have a look at it. And if you find any flaw or anything which is missing, I'll be happy to have a conversation on that.
And Seshadri sir is saying thank you. Thank you, sir. So, yeah. There is one more question from Mr. Subhas. What is the time frame for a successful mentoring? When does the mentoring end?
So, talking about the time frame of mentoring depends on what kind of expectation mentee has. So more complex and more serious level expectations obviously has an extended timeline when it comes to mentor-mentee relationship. When it ends, to answer that question, it ends only when the objective is completely and correctly met.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And there is one more question from Mr. Krishna Kumar. If bankers will not support to mentee, what will be the role of mentor?
I think that's outside the framework of today's topic.
Yeah, there is one more question from Dr. C.H. Murthy. On what basis mentor and mentee are attached?
Would you like to answer it, Mohnish? In BYST, the stage 3 officer and the mentor advisory panel decides on various aspects. So I'm telling you out of my limited knowledge about this process. So pardon me if I'm not able to fully answer your question. But like I said, there is a stage 3 officer which basically takes care of the mentoring aspect and pairing mentor and mentee. But the BYST Secretariat staff is also supported by the mentor advisory panel. So it's a group of several mentors who basically looks at the needs and wants of the mentee, the nature of the business, the geographical, the coverage, and their comfort level to each other. What also happens is, as part of pairing, mentor-mentee pairing is, the BYST organizes their first meeting in BYST office, so that, and it is held in presence of the stage 3 officer. So the stage 3 officer is able to understand whether this pairing is likely to go on or not. So this is something that I am talking out of the procedure that I know.
No, sir has rightly said. So if you want anything more than that, then we will mail you separately.
All right. So I think we are left with no more questions, gentlemen and ladies, on this program. I thank you, BYST, for giving me this opportunity to share my views on the topic of the day today, which was ways of impactful mentoring. I'm sure a lot of you as mentors, a lot of you as the senior professionals, or whoever, whatever business or profession you are in, I'm sure you have lots of other views on this. I'll be happy to listen to your views to really improve my knowledge bank. Once again, thank you so much for your patient listening. I thoroughly enjoyed talking about this topic.
Yeah, thank you, sir, and thank you all of you. And sir has presented very nicely and answered it very nicely. And our next webinar is on 19th of December. It's on Tuesday. So once again, we require your cooperation, and thank you everybody.
Acha, let me come back with the last point that yes, today was the fantastic session, and the more we learn, that more we ask. The best question and answer session we had for today. And I just want to update you one more thing, that this presentation which you have seen in this during the webinar, we'll be sharing this in the form of YouTube link. We are uploading this recorded session on YouTube, and we will be sharing to your clusters and to your mail IDs with the YouTube link, so that at any point of time you can go to our YouTube channel of BYST and you can learn more and more mentoring things.
So this will be shared with even with the people who are not part of BYST.
BYST.
So everybody who were present on this webinar will get a link, because your email IDs are recorded with BYST.
Yes, thank you very much. And on 19th December, there is another webinar series we are coming up with. We will be happy to receive the recommendations, and we'll be happy to receive your suggestions for the next webinar. Till then, thank you very much. Happy mentoring. And thank you for your time. Thanks.